According to many sources online, Arsenal will confirm the signing of Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad in the coming weeks. Now, this is a signing Arsenal have been looking at for many years, and with Zubimendi being one of the most wanted defensive midfielders in the world, Arsenal have finally got their man. But how much does this change this current Arsenal team, and what does it mean to some key players who are going to be replaced? Well, let's get into it. Now, first of all, I have to say that despite it looking like the transfer is done, it has yet to be confirmed. Even though way back in January it was reported Arsenal had basically agreed a deal to bring him to the club, there has been a lot of media frenzies around Real Madrid getting involved, where they've been trying to roll up the deal to make it look like he could go to the Bernabeu. Now, with Fabrizio's recent tweet, it seems like that is unlikely, and Zubimendi is expected to be announced at early July to help Real Sociedad with their financial period, which means he will be the first signing of the 2025 window. Now, Martin Zubimendi was quite frankly one of the biggest defensive midfielders in the world over the last couple of years. After rejecting Manchester City and Liverpool amongst other teams, he has put outstanding performances over the last couple of seasons despite Real Sociedad's form being poor. Now, despite that, we obviously saw his qualities in the European Championship final, coming on for Rodri at half-time and putting in an absolutely incredible display in tackling, interceptions and elite passing to give Spain that win and give them the Euros overall, which he got a lot of praise for. And to explain why Zubimendi is just so wanted, you have to look at what defensive midfielders bring within teams right now. Now, all midfielders are different and every single midfielder within a setup can play in a different way. However, Zubimendi brings that calmness that you see a lot of elite players want, but also a good enough ability to tackle and intercept easily and control tempo, which is the most important thing. Likened to Sergio Busquets, who is probably the best tempo controller of all time, these players are very good at holding on to the ball in deeper areas and knowing when to make some incisive passes through into the middle or over to the wide stretches, or to calm things down and keep the ball and recycle it around, allowing the team to get a hold of the game if they have been in a situation which they haven't. This is something that Arsenal have been looking for and a lot of teams have, and in order for a player to be incredibly good at this, they need to have patience, they need to have pauser, but they also more importantly need to just have an elite passing ability, being able to pick out anyone where they can. Now, Zubimendi has that in abundance. While the stats may not suggest this, with only making around 54 passes per game with an 84% completion, which definitely isn't the best between midfielders, the reason for this is because he can try incredible passes. A lot of the times he'll pick the ball up in defensive areas and be able to shift it anywhere on the pitch. You even see these decisive balls through the channels sometimes, where it allows wingers to get in behind or strikers as well. This is a brilliant way of controlling the game and will help Arsenal with Zubimendi coming in and being that key factor. And something that I love about Zubimendi's passing is that he is not tailored to one side. Something that is apparent with his game style is that he loves passing on either side, or more importantly centrally. Arsenal obviously a team that struggle a lot with central passes, one of the lowest in the Premier League, and Thomas Partey, who Zubimendi is replacing, is someone that is very much catered towards passing out of the block and into this right channel right now. So as Zubimendi having a different variance of passes will definitely help Arsenal have a little bit more balance in the attacking line, which they have missed with it being mostly catered towards the right. Not only down to the passing, but something that also makes Zubimendi elite is the fact that he can do multiple different things. Something that he's not really been touted for, but he can do very well, is he can push up into these channels when pressure is there too much. This is something you want from your defensive midfielder. When they're getting very much pressed intently, like you see in the Premier League, where they're in a lone pivot and there's players not really close to them, they don't have many options, having a player that can get out of danger in tight areas and dribble past players, but also more importantly push forward rather than running backwards, is something that really helps you break lines and break through that midfield. We've seen it a lot of times for Spain. Zubimendi is in a lot of pressure, he's got no one else around him, so then he just goes on a run. He'll push up past 2 to 3 players into them central areas, and that will allow him to create for the team. We even see that he likes kind of being a box crusher in these situations. Despite being a natural defensive midfielder and a sitter player, if he does push up and there's an overload in the attack, he won't sit off and stay there. He will get into the box and be able to sweep up any balls that go into his way, which is something that shows really great awareness for a defensive midfielder to have and a great versatility. Now, off the ball, Zubimendi is one of the most elite players as well. His defensive numbers are incredible, probably much more impressive than his attacking numbers due to how Sociedad play, especially without the ball. But he makes over 2.5 clearances per 90 and over 2 tackles. Something that he is really good at, despite not being the quickest player in the world, is being intelligent in his positioning. This is something that Busquets used to get touted for a lot, where despite him not being the quickest, when he stands in an area, that is often where the ball is going to, and he can get close to players Zubimendi and be a fighter, where he's a really nippy player to take the ball away from players and kick them in the back if they are going to go through, and this allows your team to have that little bit of physicality in midfield. Now, he's not a player that is going to be exceptional when that recovery time happens. If a player runs past him, he's probably not going to be able to catch up too well because of his pace, but he's so good at blocking these areas within the spaces that he has to make sure that people don't get past in the first place. And you will see high amount of interceptions by him and high amount of blocks as well, because he is very aware and uses his speed in areas which needed to be. You will see him jog around the pitch, but as soon as that intent of someone going to shoot or take someone on is there, he will run at them and block a shot, which is something that you want from one of your players who is exerting energy around the pitch and can do so much. Now, Arsenal will have to play Zubimendi in different ways. He is a much better suited player to a double pivot alongside a Rice. And in this box formation, which Arsenal have used with Jorginho, Rice can stay close to Zubimendi and help him cover the grounds a little bit more, and if he gets overloaded. But also he can be that carrier in possession. Zubimendi can do some risky passes into him through the channels where he can get that space to run up the field, while Zubimendi is that more natural passer in them areas. Ultimately, a Rice and Zubimendi partnership really complement each other, and everything Rice isn't very good at, Zubimendi is, and it's vice versa, which makes this really successful. Now, what this means from other players in the team is if Thomas Partey will be replaced. Now, there's reports of Thomas Partey not being at the club at all because his contract might be up, and there's other players linked with Arsenal, but Partey was going to be a rotational option anyway with Zubimendi coming in. Now, one of the reasons why this has been done is because Zubimendi will exert control a lot more than Partey. Whether you like it or not, Arsenal and Arteta like keeping the ball a lot of their games and penning teams in. They feel like when they pen teams into their own box, they can get their wingers in better positions where they can take players on, they can get players outside the box to have shots, and they can be fast enough to recover, with a Saliba or Gabriel also being very far up the pitch but also being fast to get back. Partey is not really a player that exerts control. He's one of them second ball specialists who, when the ball is dropped down, he will sweep it up in great motions. He is someone that you want next to someone that will contest duels in the air, which Zubimendi will do, so he can pick the balls up if they do drop down, and he is very good at sweeping up and making sure Arsenal retain possession in the final third, but not generally all the time. He also makes a lot of risky passes, probably when it's not needed. This and the fact that Partey in himself isn't the best recovery time in the world kind of makes sense. Zubimendi might have the same weaknesses in the same areas, but he is a much more better disciplined in positioning and is a much better tackler, as he is a composed player rather than that physical type who gives away stupid fouls. Partey is someone that will do this quite a lot, and I can see why Arteta wants to have more possession in the game, more build up potential in different ways, and have someone that is a little bit more reliable in them defensive transitions, which Zubimendi will bring over him, which makes sense why he is starting. Now, the best way to talk about Zubimendi is to compare him a little bit to Sergio Busquets. No one will be like Busquets ever, probably the greatest defensive midfielder of all time, but Zubimendi in his own way does play very similar. Very much a ball controller, will have over 200 touches a game sometimes and make a loads of passes. Not a player that's going to get you out of your seats, but he is a player that's going to platform the other players around him, and if Arsenal are able to bring in some substantial forward players this summer, I expect that they will enjoy a lot more of Zubimendi's variance in passing and ability to be intelligent on the ball than players that may do the risky thing over necessarily the right thing a lot of the time, which can be good and bad no matter how you look at it. Ultimately, I think Zubimendi is going to be the perfect start of the summer for Arsenal, and even though it is a transfer that has been talked about for over months and months and people not necessarily rating it as high as they should do, I think Zubimendi will surprise a lot of people. I don't talk about this guy in this high of a light if I didn't believe in it, and I've believed that he is one of the best midfielders in the world over the last 2 to 3 years, which is why so many clubs have wanted him over that time. Of course, Arsenal need to do more business business and business in different areas, which we all know about. And they definitely need another midfielder if a Partey is going to leave anyway. But I expect Zubimendi to be the starter for most of next season if he is obviously fit. And him alongside Rice, even alongside of Miles, would be a really good system of working with them together. And if you put a natural physical player who's a bit of a carrier next to him, I think that they will complement each other very well, because Zubimendi is just not that player. He is a controller and will give us more pressure in the game. Now, let me know what you think about this style of video. Might try and do more of these. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.